This is Chris, the Idaho Cyclist. In 2011, I suffered a broken scapula and torn rotator cuff in the Masters Crit Nationals in Bend, Oregon. And I'm going to show you how I rehabilitated my shoulder, getting myself out of a sling in 2 weeks and back on a bike in 4 weeks without conventional surgery. To start my shoulder rehabilitation, I started off by doing a bunch of band work, and I have multiple different bands right here, and these are rubber bands and tubular bands that come in different strengths, and some of them are easier to pull and some of them are harder to pull. And the yellow one I have, this is the one that is the least amount of tension. It's really easy to stretch. Then I move up to the red one, which is a little more tension, and the harder the tension, the more it's going to work your arm. And then I got the tubular type bands here, same concept. This gray one is the easiest one to stretch. The red one is the next one, is hardest to stretch, and then the black one is the hardest to stretch. And the concept being, when I first started my exercises, when I first injured my shoulder, I started doing exercises within 3 to 4 days, and my arm was extremely weak and extremely painful, and I could barely even use this yellow band to begin with to start doing my exercises. And then I started, after a few days, 3 or 4 days, I moved away from the yellow band up to the red band, and I eventually moved to the tubular bands. And I did a handful of exercises that I'll show you here. And to start off with, we'll show you using our tubular band, and I'll use one that got them with handles on them, and got them with different types of handles, whatever's convenient for you to use. I actually like these type of handles on them. They actually work pretty good. To start my band exercises off, I start with an exercise just like this. I'm going to have this shoulder and arm, my bicep and tricep up against my lat, my side right here. I want to keep that tight. Don't want to move that at all. You're only going to be moving from your elbow down. You want to create a 90-degree angle with your arm right here. I'm going to move it out just as far as I can right here. And if you start to go too far, your arm will start to come away from your side. So you want to keep the range of motion short enough that your arm stays to your side, and you're going to be rotating it out and back in. This is the first exercise I would start off with. I'm going to do this arm. I would do 15 reps for that arm, and this way I'm pulling it out, and then I'm going to switch around and going to do just the opposite direction. Now I'm going to pull it the opposite direction, same concept, keeping your arm to your side. The only thing that should be rotating is your elbow, keeping your arm in a 90-degree angle. Now do 15 reps that side, and then I'm going to switch it back the opposite way. I'm going to take this arm, I'm going to have my palm is going to be facing my thigh. I'm going to grab onto my handle, and my thumb is going to be pointing that way. Now I'm just going to rotate just like this, keeping my elbow locked, just keeping the range of motion in my shoulder, just moving my shoulder. Just working that shoulder. Nice, smooth, fluid movements. You want to use a band that is going to be comfortable, and when you're rehabilitating, that's not going to cause too much discomfort. You'll be slowly increasing the band strength as your shoulder gets stronger. Going to switch it around. Same concept. Thumb's going to be pointing this direction. Palm's facing my thigh. Just going to move it right across my body. Just rotating your shoulder. Nice fluid movements. And then I'm going to switch around for my third exercise. And I'm going to have my palm facing that direction, thumb up in the air. And I'm just going to be rotating my shoulder just out to where it's just straight out from my eyesight, right out here. I'm going to do 15 reps of this next exercise. Then I'm going to switch right around, do the same thing, opposite direction. Nice, smooth, fluid movements. Step away from your device that's your band is tied onto That's going to give you a nice full range of motion, pull all the way back, come straight across. And then I would turn around, and then I'll begin doing those same 3 exercises for my other arm. 15 reps per exercise. That's going to give your arm and rotator cuff and shoulder a nice, good workout, and it's going to get nice and warmed up. And then once I do those 3 exercises on both shoulders, because even though my right shoulder was my injured shoulder, I don't want to create an imbalance between the 2 shoulders, so I'd work them both. This was my injured shoulder, and I didn't want to have a lot of scar tissue built up, and I didn't want to lose my range of motion, so I would start doing finger walks up a wall. And when I first started, when I first injured my shoulder, I could barely get my shoulder up about this high, and you just want to begin just walking your hand up as high as you can and as much as the pain as you can tolerate. You want to get it and work it up and work through that pain as high as you can each day, and you just hold it there. And I'd hold it there for 1 minute and then just bring it down, and then walk it up again. Just easily walk your arm up a wall, just any wall, and you eventually want to just get it to the point where you can walk your arm up and you're breaking that scar tissue loose and walking it up till you get your full range of motion. And that's over a period of time. When I first started out, first few days, I could barely get my arm up, just about 6 inches off my side right here. But after about 4 weeks, I can begin to get it up to about parallel right here to the ground. And after about 6 weeks, I can get it to walk it even higher. And about 1 year later now, it's been a year since my crash. It'll be a year in September. Crash in September 2011. We're approaching, this is August 2012, and my shoulder is 100% rehabilitated, and started racing 4 weeks after my crash. And I'll show you a few other exercises I did after that stretch. Once I got my arm to the point that I could actually work it up a wall and get it up over my head, I began doing hanging exercises to continue to strengthen my shoulder and break up scar tissue. Once I could get it up overhead, I would begin to just take a little bit of my body weight off and just attempt to hang right here. And this is going to help stretch out your shoulder and help break up any scar tissue. And I would begin hanging. Once I got to the point where I could eventually just hang here without putting my feet down on the ground at all. And once I got to the point that I could just sit here and hang here for about 30 seconds, then I actually started working my abs, just like this. And this was swinging my shoulders back and forth, stretching them out and strengthening them up at the same time. And I began doing this for 1 minute to 2 minutes every day. And then once I completed my hanging exercises, I'd come over to a Smith machine and I began doing Smith machine shoulder presses. And I started out with just an extremely light weight, and you got to be extremely careful when you're doing this. This wasn't recommended by the doctor. They actually told me to stay away from weights at all, but I actually started doing these exercises as part of my active recovery 4 weeks into my injury. And this helps keep muscle atrophy at a minimum and helps keep your range of motion free, and keeps you from losing your range of motion and losing strength and your muscles atrophying at a rapid rate. So I'd start off just with a 10-pound plate, and I would just raise it up over my head, just doing shoulder presses just like this. And I'd do 12 to 15 reps. And all I do is just do 1 set. And then I come down to help my chest and shoulders. I do Smith machine benches just with 10 pounds. Just lower down my chest, let it stretch, press it back up. Down my chest, stretch, press it back up. And this is just keeping everything moving and helping minimize the atrophy and the strength loss. And it worked extremely well for me. Eventually I worked myself up to a 25-pound plate at about 6 weeks, and then continued from there. And now I'm 100% recovered.
This is Chris,
the Idaho Painter, way over here in Boise. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to click that little gray button up there that says subscribe, and subscribe to our channel. And then don't forget to click those two other little buttons right down there that says like and share. It goes a long way. Thank you.